This is my story as told by my mom. She will be my voice that was silenced by MLD. My name is Trent, and I was born on July 26, 1990, the third child of my parents, Kent and Corrine. I have an older brother who was my idol, and my sister was next. She and I played together when we were young. I loved my family very much. I was born a normal, healthy boy and had a normal upbringing, and nothing was out of the ordinary. I was smart, funny, and loved many things. I got along with everyone. When I was 8 years old in third grade, I had a little tremor in my hand when I was brushing my teeth or eating. I also had trouble stopping my bike when I was riding. I couldn't seem to hit the baseball that year because I always swung too late. My mom, who's a teacher, noticed that I was not putting spaces between my words at school, and I'd quit using capital letters, which wasn't a problem before. I saw a pediatric neurologist at age 9. He dismissed my mom's concerns and told her to take me home and exercise me. Well, she put me in more swim lessons, which I had done many times before, but the swim teacher said I just wasn't making progress. After my 4th grade year, my mom took me to another pediatric neurologist who ordered an MRI before our visit. He told my mom and dad, while I wasn't in the room, that he suspected MLD and we would need blood work and a urine test to confirm. My parents were devastated. There was no information at the doctor's office, and they had never heard of this. They were told to go home and look it up on the internet. My parents found a support group called the MLD Foundation. The next step was the many appointments at Dornbecker's Hospital to decide what to do next. At the appointments, my parents were told my only option was a bone marrow transplant, but it would not cure me. It would hopefully slow down or stop the deterioration that MLD causes. They neither encouraged nor discouraged the decision, but it was decided it would have to be at the Mayo Clinic and not here in Portland. After much research by my mom using the OHSU library, very little information on the success of bone marrow transplants was found. The information showed a 30% chance of dying from the transplant, and if it took, would be at least 18 months before there might be any effect shown. In the meantime, the difficult process of the BMT may accelerate the disease process. 3 months later, and with lots of prayer, my parents finally decided against a bone marrow transplant. It was the hardest decision of their lives. There is no going back on that decision. My parents never told me I was going to die. They didn't want to depress me, as I always had a sunny personality. They wanted to protect me. Between age 10 and 15, I lost bladder and bowel control, the ability to walk, talk, eat, and communicate. Each and every one of these losses was devastating by itself. I would say my parents would tell you that the hardest thing to lose was the ability to communicate. Losing all muscle control, I couldn't even communicate with my head or eyes. My parents also decided to put in a feeding tube at age 15 as I was slowly starving. This was the second hardest decision, as they didn't want to prolong my disability, but they couldn't get me to swallow. My parents could not handle watching me not being able to eat while they sat and ate dinner, with the food falling out of my mouth that they fed me. I'd lost a lot of weight. Once I got a feeding tube, I quickly gained weight and filled out and continued to grow. I was a big guy and grew to 6 feet 4 inches and probably 190 pounds. I also got a baclofen pump during these years, as my painful leg spasms couldn't be controlled with medications. It was hard for my parents to see me in pain. I had my first seizure around 15 as well, and was put on anti-seizure medications. I had at least 2 seizures that couldn't be stopped, and I ended up in the ER. I also had pneumonia once, but I rallied and came back from that. My parents think I was blind by the end of my life. I could still smile and laugh for quite a while, but I lost that ability after several more years. My parents had to add a bedroom to our house since we had no bedrooms on the main level. Ramps were also added to get into the house. We had a stander, a hospital-type lift bed, a rolling shower chair, and portable lift systems added so my parents could care for me. I had foam booties and a foam mattress pad to keep away bed sores, which we had problems with on my heels. I had a neck support brace when I couldn't hold my head up anymore, and leg braces to keep my feet from drooping. We had caregivers come to the house so my parents could keep their jobs and work. My parents bought a wheelchair van for my last 2 years of life and always took me on walks, to church, and any place we could go with my wheelchair. My dad and brother even carried me to the beach several times in my wheelchair. My dad remembered when I could still talk, asking him if I couldn't walk, would he still take me down to the beach? They did all they could so I could have some quality of life, but I was severely disabled for most of the time. Eventually, I developed a respiratory infection and my lungs were collapsing. My mom got home from work and my dad had taken me to the doctor that day. She was on the phone to get hospice started for me, and she looked over at me and I wasn't breathing. I'd lost the ability to cough for the last couple of weeks of life. We thought maybe a mucus plug was blocking my airway, but I passed away very quietly without struggling on December 11, 2019, 19 years after diagnosis. I hope my story helps some other children with MLD to get the help they need before they have to live through what I lived through. My family loves me, and they can't wait to see me again in heaven. My parents think I'm the bravest person they know.